Welcome back to Wroxham FC TV, and today I'm joined by the Wroxham women's manager, Rebecca Burton. Welcome, Rebecca.
Hello.
So I guess we'll just jump straight into it. So it wasn't always Wroxham women, was it? It was Acle women?
Yeah. So basically, Acle had a women's team for about a decade, starting in the early 2000s, I guess. And upon me and some friends joining recreationally and things sort of progressing and us going up the leagues and the standard improving, we became, I guess, more of a well-known team in the area, sort of punching above our weight with regards to being a village team. And we started encountering certain issues with regards to things like ground grading for FA Cup games and things like that. And Acle's facilities, whilst they were lovely, they just didn't meet the cut for a lot of things. And we ended up hiring 3G pitches, hiring the Wellesley at Great Yarmouth Football Club. And we were charging the girls quite a lot to play football to cover those expenses. And we just didn't really see it as sustainable for the long term. It didn't really fit, and we had ambition within the club to try and progress up the leagues and to try and compete in the county. So we basically just sort of went out to tender, shall we say, with local clubs as to whether we could to join a club that was basically regional in playing at the same sort of level as we were, the same sorts of teams, the same sorts of challenges. And we spoke to Wroxham, and Wroxham basically bit our hand off. And then we became Wroxham, and it was great. It's been great ever since we moved.
You brushed on the fact that you were punching well above your weight. It was the cup final in 2015 that made you not a success as a club, but it gave you a bit more status around the local area.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I'd only just come to the club at that point, so it's almost like I was a glory hunter or something. But I don't think a lot of people had really given Acle much, notice with regards to a female setup. To be completely honest, the club's really, really good club. But there's the youth setup and then there's the men's setup, and it did put the girls on the map. It really did.
I think it's as well coming into the Wroxham women, and you've kind of come part of the club. You've also attracted some very big players as well.
Yeah, well, we've tried really hard with recruitment since we made the move, and we've basically we wanted to be. It wasn't just about ground. It wasn't just about finances and things like that. We didn't really have much of an identity at Acle, and that's nothing against them as a club. We didn't have a single person from the area playing. Like, we had girls travelling from Suffolk to play for Acle. It was the environment and the team rather than the club, if that makes sense. Whereas the men's team, on the other hand, very localised players that played there for a lot of years, and we wanted to have a home. We wanted to have an identity, and that's something that we have absolutely grabbed with both hands as soon as we came across. And I think players really appreciate that. So with the things that we have been able to do since moving, so with the backing of the football club and the support from Lee, which has been absolutely unreal, we've been able to do a lot of things logistically that appeals to players, but also we've been able to offer that real home environment, which I do think is so important. When you're not playing professionally or getting paid or anything like that, you have to be able to enjoy what you're doing. You want to be competitive, of course. We have to go and win football games. We've been given targets. I've been given targets. But at the end of the day, all of my players are still playing as a hobby, still have full-time jobs that they have to think about, and they have to be enjoying it. They have to feel part of a culture, like part of an environment. And that's something that Wroxham has so much of, and to the point where other teams might find it cringy. I'm sure they do. But once you're part of it, it's really contagious, and it's, it's attracting attention, put it that way.
What do you think it is about Wroxham then? Because you said about culture. What do you think it is about the culture around Wroxham that makes it such like as you said, a home for the women's team?
I think it's not just us either. I think I've spoken to people who have played in years gone by for the first team, and they've said, I played for a lot of different teams. Nowhere quite had the soul that Wroxham had. And I think there's a lot to be said about the people involved, the facilities in the ground, Trafford Park, but also just that people make things happen. And especially over the last 2 years, and I can't speak a lot for Wroxham in the past, in honesty, but certainly since I've been involved and hearing what the club wants to do, the involvement I've had in the development of that, whether it be female, youth, DNA, coaching philosophies, coach education philosophies, what the club want to do is massive. It really is. And they've got the right people involved to make that happen. And I think that speaks volumes in the amount of youth teams that have come on board, the pathways that we're setting up, the EJA teams that we have. Everyone wants to be part of this club, which is great.
I think you can see that as well, though, because you've got Daryl that's on board, you've got yourself, and there's other people inside the club that have come on board and have really propelled the women's team on a social media level, and you're obviously getting quite a lot of people attend the games.
Yeah, it's about, for us, it was about having that identity and having that home, having a area of the county that we could really, really appeal to, whether it be via social media, which is obviously so important now. We've known that for a number of years, but also getting out and about to the local community and getting people come to watch us, and, converting the men's team fans to supporting us as well on a Sunday. It's happened, which, and I'll be completely honest, I didn't think it would happen as quickly as it has. So it's been brilliant to go from playing 2 years ago on a 3G at school and having a few parents come to watch, but not even all the parents, you know what I mean? And then them chucking a couple of quid in a bucket to make sure that we can pay for the food after a game and things like that, to having over 100 people come and watch with a megaphone and drums, like that, like, it's brilliant. The girls are absolutely loving it as well. And again, other teams would be like, what is this? But it's awesome to be a part of. It really is.
Do you think the progression of the club, in a sense, has gone too quickly for the women's team, or do you think it's come at the right time for you to progress naturally?
As in our journey, or Wroxham's progression? Sorry.
Your journey as a team.
I don't know. I think it's I don't think in the female game you can ever want things to slow down. If there's momentum and there's interest, you have to, in my opinion, grab it with both hands. If you can get people come to watch, and put a bit of pressure on when you're not playing well, you're not used to that. The girls aren't used to that, but that's what comes with it. You take it with both hands, because at the end of the day, the crowds that we have had this year and the support we've had has enabled the girls to not have to play football at all anymore. It's allowed them to have free training kit. It's, there's certain things that come with that. And there's always going to be challenges in female football, especially when you're at the level we are, which is not quite just a hobby. It's not a 45-minute drive down the road on a Sunday, which you can do hungover. It's not being paid either. It's somewhere in the middle where I'm asking girls to prepare, to recover, to train twice a week, to look after themselves physically, and then to travel to London on a Sunday to play. But no, it's the same as a lot of National League men's sides have to do, but with less of the perks in that sense. So in my opinion, I think you have to try and grab whatever momentum you can, ride it, and try and get over the challenges that come along. You're always going to get that with the player participation pool that we have, especially in Norfolk. That's always going to be a challenge. So but yeah, anything we can jump on, we will.
You said about the player participation there. Has there been any chances of maybe going to local schools to kind of get like a youth team for the ladies coming through, or?
Well, so we have addressed the player pathway in that we knew longer term we wanted to be able to, I guess, have homegrown players coming through. Again, it's part of the identity and the culture we want to create. We want players to grow up in the area, to want to play football, but also to come out of that youth pathway and want to play for Wroxham. And that's why we've done the partnership with Bure Valley, who are one of the biggest girls' clubs in the area. And they have last year an under 14s team that's now under 15s or under 16s. And we're going to be working with them to create a development squad, which will be sort of like an under 18s, because at the moment there's a big drop off with under 16 girls coming out of school, exams, university, things like that. That actually we want to try and harness that interest in the youth game and take it into the adult game. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a drop off in both genders, but it's a particular challenge in the female game to try and get girls to carry on playing it as they become women.
Well, I guess 2 years ago you didn't expect that either. You've now potentially got a constant stream of women coming through wanting to play for the club that you've kind of not created yourself, but you've kind of put them on the map, considering you've come on board and kind of put them in this place.
Yeah, I mean, the club has grown vastly in lots of different areas, but to basically be able to pick up a female pathway and just pop it in our big, picture is brilliant. They've got Bure Valley are excellent at what they do, to the point where I think they're absorbing our Wildcat centres now, and their 5 to 11 provision is brilliant. They're getting more and more girls interested all the time. They're having to create new teams. They need new coaches, and they're going to be key to making that participation pool in the Broadland area bigger, which hopefully gets to the point where we can provide recreational post-16 football, but also competitive regional football as well.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of good for the women's game as well, because around the Norfolk area you've got Norwich women, and then there's not a huge team under them. Kind of like I've not that I've seen personally, but I feel like if Wroxham get this on the go, there might be a good chance for you to kind of excel as a team as well.
Yeah, I mean, Norwich, they have the badge, they have the back-in, they have their own identity, their own culture. They have an amazing setup with access to elite programs, academy programs, and provide education. They are the force within the county. There is absolutely no doubt in that. But being the league above us, and you've got us and Wyndham, and then you've got Kings Lynn, who are probably going to push for promotion to be in our league next year as well. And Kings Lynn's identity and culture is on the rise with what their men's team are doing as well. There's certainly an opportunity for teams to really be pushing that, and that's what we've always wanted to do. We find it a challenge, especially when we were at Acle. The league we play in only has one team go up every year. We finished second twice, I think, and third we lost on the last. It's been an ongoing challenge, but that's always going to be the ambition, to try and push up to play at the highest level we can.
And obviously your first 2 seasons as Wroxham women haven't really gone to plan with the whole COVID-19 situation, but I'm guessing next season hopefully is going to be a proper full season of football, and it can go on without any stoppages.
Yeah.
Do you think that you'd be able to challenge for going up?
Well, we wanted to challenge. We knew last season was always going to be difficult. We just wanted to go out and play under a new banner, and whatever happened. We were always going to want to try and win every game we play. And at the start of the season, if you want to try and win every game you play, then you'd be silly to not say we want to push for the title. Why not? If you think you're good enough to do it, then you have to try and aim for it. There's no point in not, in my opinion. So, but we also knew it was going to be a transition year. This year, we didn't hide from the fact that we wanted to push for the title. That we got our feet under the table, shall we say? But we've had a big player turnover from year 1 to year 2, and then start here and there. No one knows what's going to happen with the league now. We've got some teams in our league that have played 3 or 4 games. No one knows what's going to happen, but it could be that last season has been wiped from history. It could be that this season is wiped from history as well, and we're actually having our first set of results on record next year. So who knows? But every year we play football in this league, and where we know that we have the players we have, our ambition will be to do as well as we can. If that means going up, if it means winning competitions, if it means survival, we will always try and aim to be the best we can.
You said there's been a high player turnover. Was that a basis of people not being able to commit to the club, or was that because you were trying to find more quality in the players that you had on the pitch?
To be completely honest, a bit of both. There's always an element of turnover. There's an element of players wanting something different, moving on. There's an element of people pushing higher, which you never want to hold a player back. If they can compete higher and they want to compete higher, then you support them to do that. At the end of the day, we want players to want to play for the club. And not everyone can commit to what we do, and we have to understand that as well. So, I have made no qualms about last year. It was going to be very different to our last year at Acle. I was going to be asking a lot more from the girls. Some of that didn't fit with their lifestyles, which we completely respect and appreciate. This year I've asked even more, and I'll continue to do so, because that's what we want to aim for. For me, if you want to be at the level above, you have to be doing what the level above is doing already. So that's why I ask a lot of them already. That's why certain expectations are laid out, and that doesn't fit for everyone.
Well, I guess with the 2 seasons that have just happened, have happened, and obviously we can't really go back on them. And obviously this one, we don't know if it's going to finish yet, but what is the plan for the next 5 years?
Well, the plan for me personally is to try and, I guess, stay in a job now, because Lee has laid it out that he wants National League football, and rightfully so. There's plans across the club for development. There's plans across the club for success, and there's plans for promotion and where we want to be as 2 senior teams, and what we want from the 18s, the youth. Everything is very tight knit and runs through, and the club know the expectations of all of the teams, if that makes sense. And in 5 years' time, the ideal situation is going to be that Wroxham women are playing National League football, that they have at least one, maybe 2 teams under them playing adult football as well, a thriving youth setup that produces players, and hopefully some silverware along the way.
So it seems like the future for Wroxham could be bright throughout the whole of the club, which is pretty much where we all want to be.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and you look at what Geordie's doing in the men's team as well, and it'd be such a shame if that season's cut short with how it started. But again, I'm fully of the opinion that you aim high. You aim high from the start, as long as you know that you it's achievable. And I don't see why we can't aim high for the next 5 years, because if we can then achieve some of that, we'll be in a really good position.
I feel like it's going to be a good thing for the whole club, as well as getting the first team, which is on a huge run, the women's team, who at the minute are progressing game by game. But I feel like as a club, it is kind of increased over the last couple of years anyway, with like your profiles of Grant Holt coming, Simon Lappin and Adam Jury come along. And it's just, as a club, I feel like adding the women's side of it and seeing them grow as well as the men's, it's kind of made people want to be part of the club as well, because it seems like it's now one club.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's certain things that make people take note, and you only have to look at the crowds that sometimes are now coming on a Saturday, and the Stowmarket game last year, and the attention that the club gets is up there with the best in the county now, in the press, but also in what people are talking about. And like I said, it puts the club on the map, but it's also contagious. It really is. Like, anyone who comes along to come and watch, you rarely fail to see them again. It's something to be a part of. There's a lot of, like I said, and it's all about people. There's a lot of good people involved in Wroxham Football Club, and it makes a difference from, Lee at the very top, who's leading the way, with then to Rachel and Louise behind the bar. They make such a difference. And when you've got good people that are driving something, then you won't go far wrong. And I think a lot of the success of the club is down to those people.
Well, I guess we've kind of seen or heard what the women's team is about, there's a few questions that I've got off some of the fans and some of the people that you have worked with or are working with. We'll go with Al Creedon to start off with. He's asked, who's the funniest player in your team?
Oh God. I feel like there isn't a right answer to this, because I think a lot of the girls might think they're really funny and then be offended if I don't, I think, for example, Rhiannon and Kate probably think they're hilarious. But that's not for me to say. I think I would probably have to go with Pip, because she just makes me laugh every training session and every game. We could have the most awful performance and lose, and she still make me smile on the way home. And I think that's such a good quality to have. But it was my birthday just before Christmas, and she took it upon herself to wish me happy birthday upon every social media platform that she could find. And yeah, she's hilarious. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Pip.
Okay. We've got Stephen D, who's asked your best/most heartfelt win as Wroxham manager.
Ooh. I don't know if it's the best win, because we weren't very good to start with, but I probably had to say the most heartfelt. I don't know what that really means, shall we say, but last season we were playing Wyndham in the FA Cup in a second derby day, and we were losing 2-0 with about 10-12 minutes to go, and we weren't playing very well. They definitely deserved to win, shall we say, but the girls just turned it on for the last 12 minutes and scored 3 goals, and it was one of those smash and grab moments where everyone just went mad, and I think that was one of the, I don't know, it was just joyous.
So we've had the heartfelt win as Wroxham, but what would be your standout moment as Acle manager? Now, I've got one in my head that I think it might be, but what would it be for you?
What do you think it is?
Oh, well, I would have gone the County Cup win, but
Oh no, I don't. Their County Cup win is a completely different group of people to now. Really, I think Kate was the only person who was even signed on at that point, and me. But no, that one. I mean, it's great for the history. Don't get me wrong, but that, for me, it would probably. There's a lot of memorable moments at Acle that aren't for good reasons, but big learning curves. But I'd probably say winning the League Cup, because that year we beat Billericay to get to the final, and they beat us to the title that year, and they were a really good side. And you've seen how they've now progressed strength to strength since. Their setups brilliant, and they're now trying to push to go up again from the league above. But they were good then, and we played so well to beat them to then get into the final. And everyone wants to win the County Cup, but the League Cup, you're playing against the teams you play week in, week out, and it was a really difficult competition to get to the final of, and then to go and win it emphatically was really good, because it felt like that team finally got something that they deserved. They've been playing so well, they've come so close to things, and yeah, it was nice to get to win some silverware,
which is always good. We'll go on to the last question, and there was a bit of chat about it on Twitter last night. Joe Simpson, who I'm guessing you've worked with along the way, has asked, if you had to choose, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck? Now, you did answer this on Twitter last night, but I'd like to get it on video and then have your reasoning behind it.
Well, 100 duck-sized horses, definitely. Like, I can't imagine anyone wanting to fight a duck the size of a horse. Honestly, the thought of it scares me. Like, the little things, you just sort of kick them out of the way and whatever. But birds are a little bit intimidating in general, I think. Like, imagine a big bird that can just, get you. No, it's not for me. It's a no from me on that one.
Anyway, what a question to finish on. But yeah, it's been great to actually finally kind of hear from, for me, and obviously a few people that might not know about the women's team as well. It's been great to hear the insight on what's been going on and the plans and everything around it. And it's been actually quite good to talk to you again.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, guys, that is it for today. It's been really nice to hear about the Wroxham women's team, and they will be getting coverage next season or this season, whether or not it's going to go ahead. Now, that is it from me. Thank you again, Rebecca.
Thanks very much for having me. Cheers.
And see you later, guys.